Hello to the chicos and the chicas. How are you going, lovely people? Back at you with a new book review. And this was actually recommended to me to have a look at this book. What happened was that, as you know, I have reviewed Helston's second book, which is right here still in front of me, the Mastering Chess Strategy Thingy-mabobby. And if you still remember that book review, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you to go back and watch it. I have made a conclusion in the very end of it, which was that it's quite a difficult book. It takes a lot of time to get through, and perhaps not really a good book for anyone below 2000. And then in the comment section of that video, I got a lot of questions about, okay, we got that, boss. So what do you recommend for us below 2000 dudes? And I'm like, yeah, don't know. And then someone made a comment and said, what do you think about the Gröten book? And I'm like, embarrassing, I don't know the Gröten book. And so guess what I did? I acquired the Gröten book, because I listened to the advice of people who talk to me on my channel. Chess Strategy for Club Players, The Road to Positional Advantage. That is the book. Actually, my version doesn't have the blue stripe across that says Chess Cafe Book of the Year, which is quite a prestigious award, by the way, in the chess publishing world. And so I have gone through Hermann Gröten's book, and all I can say is, guys, that we struck gold. We have found what we are after. So the very short conclusion before I even get into the video is that if you are below 2000, or if you are even above 2000 but you find the Helston book to be a little bit too tricky or too challenging, I definitely very highly recommend you to start your positional learning with Chess Strategy for Club Players, written by Hermann Gröten. He's a Dutch international master, and he's also a chess coach. And without wanting to sound like I'm blowing my own trumpet, I have to make a comment, which is that I see it more and more often that good educational chess books often come out of the pens of good coaches. And it's hardly a surprise. Like, if someone dedicates 15, 20, 25 years of their life to coaching, to, spend a lot of time on trying to improve other people and bring up their chess and understanding their shortcomings and how to fix it, then you are sort of destined to be able to write well. And in fact, you are also destined to write a good book on various topics that are related to the improvement of a certain rating group. And Gröten absolutely smashed it. Very, very impressed with the book. It does complement the Helston book in a lot of ways as a first read before we get into the Helston one. I didn't like the Helston book in the sense that it only offered a very few chapters, and those chapters were very broad and very vague, and I just thought that was not really a good way to section the writing. Gröten, on the other hand, offers in his book 24, I think, including solutions, so 23 separate chapters, and goes through an awful lot of positional concepts with weak king, weak squares, misplaced pieces, central pawns and their behavior, pass pawns, bishop pair, initiative, you name it, and it's in there. So he took a very, very meticulous method and sort of singled out lots of topics that are part of positional / strategic chess, and just hammered them home and try to find best examples to sort of showcase the ideas that are best modeling that particular topic, rather the best showcasing. Whoa, I'm getting into that badly. So he's found a lot of good examples to demonstrate the idea really, really well. I picked out a couple of things from the book, but I very highly recommend you to go through the whole lot. Another reason why I like it is because the examples look very easy to understand, and so you can easily get through a chapter or two even in one sitting, actually walk away thinking, I have learned something new, or I can actually implement this in my chess. Whereas with the Helston book, I often found that sometimes just to analyze and get through one game would require you an hour. And once again, I don't want to compare the two because they are not in the same weight category. So I don't want you to think that I prefer this book to that, because I don't. I just think that there is a logical sequence of how one should approach these books, and that is that Gröten first, and when you are confident enough that you can tackle the more difficult and more complex material, then you move on to Helston. Now, a couple of examples I really enjoyed in the book. He sets up this position and goes, I'm giving you a white dark squared bishop, put it on the board wherever you want. Where would you go? Love this kind of thinking, because it is actually a bit of a open-ended question, one that without even noticing a lot of players face when they are trying to formulate a plan, which is one of the greatest shortcomings of any club level player. When they find themselves in a position that they don't feel naturally related with, they don't feel they understand what's going on, they don't understand the dynamics of the position, and they are supposed to find a plan, usually it falls apart very, very quickly. And so I quite like this type of thinking. And then he goes, well, obviously you are going to put your bishop on f6, but then he starts analyzing this position with black to move. And I found out a couple of things about this book that I definitely consider it to be one of its main strengths, and that I'm going to model to you through this example. So black is obviously facing instant execution in shape of this checkmate, which is also combined with the rook lift. So there's all kind of brutalities taking place here. And so he analyzes h6, a really cool variation. Queen d2, king h7, rook e3. Note that now rook h3 and queen h6 is absolutely brutal. Knight e7 to drop the knight back here or here. Very logical defense. Here, knight g8 and g4. Beautiful idea. Bishop g5, and we are going to win h6, and white wins. So now, not only do we understand the ultimate piece placement in regards to this structure, but he actually offers us plans as to how to go from there. So I can drop the queen back and then drop the queen there, but it doesn't make any difference. Bishop takes and then pawn up and then rook takes is going to mop up very quickly. The other variation is even more impressive when he analyzes h5 instead, which is pretty cool. Queen d2, and the idea is to now cover the square by the king. And here the win is absolutely beautiful again. Rook e3, queen e8, rook across. Very, very cool again. Various threats, g4, queen g5, and then takes, and so on and so forth. So queen f8 looks like a very logical way to play so that we can neutralize a lot of threats by coming to h6, and then g4. And after queen h6 comes the shocking conclusion, g5. 2 exclamation marks, a move that you could never ever find unless you were actually very, very well versed in the world of tactics, because the point of this move, which by the way positionally is a shocker, is the tactical follow-up, which is rook takes h5, pawn takes h5, and queen e2 double exclam, with the idea of check and checkmate, and king g6 walks into the breathtakingly beautiful queen c2 checkmate. Now, if you see this, you are going to actually get a tiny snippet of what I consider to be the greatest benefit and the greatest trap of learning positional chess at the same time. The greatest benefit is, in my opinion, is the fact that you are very quickly facing the fact that positional chess on its own right doesn't exist. And I did say that already in the review of the Helston book, and I'm reiterating it again. Forget about it. There is no such thing as just positional chess or just tactical chess. Hardly ever do you see a game that purely features one and never the other. It's just almost impossible. Like here, we executed a very logical positional plan, which would have worth absolutely nothing, zilch, without having the tactical ability to see that g5 is sound, in fact winning, because of rook h5, pawn takes, and then queen e2. In fact, one reason why I really like Grothin's book, which is supposedly a book on positional chess, because it has got a ton of examples, a lot of them, which features hardcore tactics. You can't, and you must accept this, and that's the trap too, that you go like, well, this is not really teaching me positional chess, it's full of tactics. Yes, that's chess for you. And usually you don't get to execute good tactics without having the sound positional foundations for that tactic to be there. Let me show you another one that I really, really liked. Black to move in this position. Black is already very, very heavily ahead. And in these types of positions, a lot of players on lower levels would not only not be willing to do this, but many of them wouldn't even look at it. And if you ask, you know, anyone above 2300 FIDE rating, they would just look at this position and they go like, yeah, rook f3, it's over. And so to make that massive step from going to not even looking onto the very best move on the board to just take a cursory glance and go like, yep, that's all over it, that's done, you can just stop, is a massive leap. And there's a lot of learning in between. And this position I brought up because you could really argue whether it's tactical or positional. I think it's actually predominantly tactical. But the fact that you look at this and you go like, okay, that's a shattered king, no defense. The black pieces are flooding in like mad, and pawn e5 as a thrust and resource needs to be seen. Like I said, for a good player, they would not really look any further than this to conclude that this investment is absolutely worth it. And white is gonna die. The end of the game is absolutely breathtaking, by the way. Check this out. King g2, queen f6, mate threat, f4, bishop takes. So at least now black had to sort of block the f-file, but now a new piece entered the fray. e5 is the main threat with picking off h3 as well. Queen d2, e5, rook h1 defending the weakness. And here comes kaboomski, knight f3, baby. What a move, man. King takes f3, bishop takes e3, check, king takes e d4, checkmate Reno, baby. Now that is legendario. And as you can see, this is pure tactics. But the positional point that Grothin here delivers is that this king is very poorly defended. This is actually from the chapter Weak King, I think. Weak King, I believe so, yes. I don't want to look up the book again, but I'm pretty sure that's it. Or King's Defense or King's Safety, ironically a matching title with my course. And indeed, the topic and the way he approaches it is similar too. So it's a positional realization that if you look at how many points is that much worth? 19 plus 6, 25 points worth of pieces are perfectly incapable of helping out the king in defense, and by taking this, we are actually removing the one and only defender of the king. That is a positional observation. Now that is worth nothing if you are not capable to calculate correctly the consequences of the sacrifice, which is again why these two walk hand in hand. By the way, the end of the game was quite specky too. That wasn't it. The game went d5, knight e5, queen e2, queen g5, king f1, and tada, checkmate Reno, baby. The game is over. One more example just to show you that the guy does show you a lot of awesome positional stuff as well. Oopsie, ruined much, yes. This one is in the chapter of diagonal. What I particularly like about this example is that if I were to teach this, I would be like, okay, take a guess which diagonal is going to decide the game. And everyone would be like, yeah, that one for sure. Okay, let's see how this game goes. So he plays rook d6, which obviously is, again, an awesome positional observation. And again, this is the type of thing that you either look at it and then you play it, or it's just your brain just fends it off because it puts a piece on prey. And unfortunately, that's how a lot of club level players operate, that their brain simply refuses to look at or to consider even moves that put a piece on prey. And obviously, it is simply not capturable because now queen f6 is mate. So e5 only, queen f6, queen e6, bishop e5, take, and the pawn promotes to queen. And again, if you can't calculate, you can't execute a positional sacrifice like this at all. Now, after rook c8, there is still quite a bit of work to be done, and a lot of people would struggle here, actually, to convert this as white. And the way how white plays it is actually really awesome. Plays b4, securing the pawn structure. Plays g3, a move that many would be confused about. But in fact, this move is already preparing h4, h5, h4, h4. Let's just go with that. And here comes the winning maneuver. Bishop c1 and bishop g5. Trading of the dark squared bishop, leaving black with this absolute garbage of a piece. Bishop takes, and now the penetration via f6 is unstoppable. Note that queen e7 doesn't stop it. I still go in. You can't go to f8 because mate in 1. So the trade is forced. And after the trade, rook d7, and that nightmare endgame is just resign immediately. So he allows queen f6 to happen. And now we go back to my original question in regards to which diagonal do you think will decide the game? Well, this one. Because rook takes e6 can be stopped, followed by mate. With bishop takes e6. A beautiful example of how easy it can be to win a game of chess if you are aware of important positional features, such as this very weak diagonal, the weak dark color complex, which made white want to go and trade the dark squared bishops, after which the penetration was decisive, and then he picked the weakest spot, or rather the one that he could over attack, and just hunted it down, and that's it. All over, Red Rover. The game is over. This and much more is in Chess Strategy for club players by Hermann Groten. Very highly recommended. So if you are the type of, or if you are the person who saw my Hellsten book and went like, yeah, I reckon that's too hard for me, go here. You will not be disappointed. Enjoy the book. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be back with more soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.